So I said, when you observe things, you need to act on your observations, or else don't worry about your observations. So what happened in this new garden where we are now, I started gardening, and with some very good soil. I had a mixture from a friend's place, and I took some topsoil from the bamboo forest, that's out where we are. And I made a good mixture, and I started growing just in piles of soil. And plants came up, and they were up high. I started to transplant into, we had a shared vegetable garden. And I started to notice after a week, they weren't moving, they weren't growing. And I thought, oh, that's weird, because sometimes some of your plants don't like to be transplanted. They just like to be sown right there, and they'll grow right there. But if you shift me over there, I don't like you. So you will find that too, and you have to sort of work out, ask your neighbours, why is this happening to me? So I thought, okay, well, first I thought, oh, yeah, I'm so good, my plants are growing really well. And then I thought, oh, dear, that's not really the approach to have to this problem. So I thought, wow, if it's not growing, maybe there's something wrong with the soil. So then I started doing soil testing, pH value, which means is it acid or is it alkaline or is it neutral? And you should, the best soil you can have is 6.5 to 7. It's really good for most of your vegetables to grow in. So I tested it all out, or I did 8 to 12 tests in the veggie garden. It was all alkaline, 10.9.
Hey, that's
so
high.
It is huge. So now I realised, hello, that's why the plant aren't growing, because I had the good neutral soil where I started out, and then I transplanted into alkaline soil, and they just didn't like it. So I thought, okay, so here comes the action. You observe, now what are you going to do? So I remember that one year I took a lot of bamboo leaves and used that for mulch in my garden. I had the same situation with the alkaline soil. And then within a week, the plant started to grow. You could really see it, you could also hear it. That's how fast they were growing. And so that's what I then did in this garden as well. So I replaced all the mulch that was there, and I put all the bamboo leaf in, and then I watered on top of that. And then after a little while, it started to change. However, then I thought to myself, what about the water? What about the irrigation water that I'm using? Is that a good water? So it turned out to be alkaline. Yeah, it's from bore, it's a bore water. And because we haven't had any rain, we haven't had any good floods or anything for maybe 5-6 years, then that groundwater is not going to get any better. It needs a top up every year. So this is just going to be a very evil circle. But then I thought to myself, okay, we got irrigation water that's no good, but the bamboo is helping. So what I did, I then filled up a 40 litre big blue drum and stuffed it with the bamboo leaf, and then I added the irrigation water. After 24 hours, that was back to 6.17. So it brought the water back to normal. So now I'm then irrigating out of the blue drum with the water. Yeah. So and I did soil test again a week ago, and some of the beds are now 8. So we're getting there, but it's a long journey. You can also, in this case, with being alkaline, you could add, and I have done, vinegar with your watering. You could have pig moss, sulfur, agricultural sulfur. Yeah, that will help bring it back to the neutral. So that was a little bit about the observations. Now, and action. So what I've done over the years, and in the beginning I thought to myself, why are you doing this, silly Billy? Ha! And I brought this book for you to have a look at today. Please just come up to the table and have a little sticky bee. So every month I've written down what I did, what I put in the ground, what I transplanted, and I also put in what didn't work. And then I took photos and I put them in there, and within a very short time, you'll see within a year, you're actually making your own personal manual for your own personal garden. And you can go back and you can say, hey, I was not very successful with the carrots. So you go back in your journal, your diary, and you say, that's because I planted them on the 25th of December. It was just too hot that Christmas day. So you don't repeat that. Then you try another time. But it becomes your manual. It's like, you know, you can pick up beautiful garden books. Every bookshop's got heaps of lovely garden books, but this will be your special garden book because this will be about your garden and not about a garden in Victoria or New South Wales, even though they also have nice pictures. So, a way of keeping a track on what's happening in your garden. And I also tell people that it's very important to do your gardening with the intent. So, you know, you wake up in the morning and then you say to yourself, I will go and make breakfast. See, that's an intent. Like, this is your intention, that you're going to make breakfast. So you just do it because we're so used to these things. And then come lunchtime, then somebody will say, hey, when is lunch, Mum? And then, well, you have then the intent to make lunch. So you transfer that into your garden, and then, and a very good example, I think it is, we were going away for 3 months, and the garden was going to look after itself. A friend said that he would water, only very little, but what was needed. And then we said, yeah, and just leave everything to itself. So what I did, I had if you can imagine, one corner of the garden, like here, I had ferns, I had mother-in-law's sharp tongue, I had sort of very prolific, lovely weeds growing, but I knew that they would come in my garden within the 3 months. So what I did, I planted a rather big row of lemongrass. Lemongrass is really good at keeping such stuff out of your veggie pack. So I put that in this area to keep all the weeds outside, and then I planted another row just 20 centimetres apart. And the first row, I said to the first row of lemongrass, and here we come now, oh, did you really communicate with your lemongrass? Yes, I did, because I planted that first row with the intent to keep out the weeds. And then the next row I planted with the intent of harvesting when I come home for lovely herbal infusions. Okay, so great holiday, you don't worry about your garden, you know everything is under control because you're doing absent farming with your intent. So we came home and I went straight into the garden, and here the row that was going to keep all the weeds out was absolutely dead. But it had done its job, no weeds had come in from that side, and the row of lemongrass that I planted to harvest was beautiful. So there's your intent. So if you can say, okay, well, I plant this IB cat with the intent of growing a healthy plant, then from the very beginning, your plants will be healthy. Yeah. So then I'm just going to finish off because I can hear Tommy's rumbling. I sent Lisa an email saying, the mulberry tree is flowering. And then Lisa sent me back an email. I didn't know that mulberry trees would flower. So I thought, well, mine does. So I went back in the garden, and it's actually the fruit that's very hairy, and that's why I thought they were flowers. So, and Lisa sent me a lovely link to a permaculture website where I could read about the mulberry. So I thought today, because the mulberry is flowering at home, I will bring mulberry silk. So this is mulberry silk as we get it. We don't grow the worms because we haven't got time for that. So we buy it as already processed, cleaned, and this is the original colour of the silk. It's not bleached or anything. And the reason why it's so white is that these worms, the mulberry worms, are fed with only mulberry leaves. So it's a controlled farming. We also work with tassel silk, and that's this golden looking silk. why it's got this colour is that they do not control the worms, so the tassel seal eats any leaves. And these any leaves have got a lot of tannin in it, so that's why it looks like this. Then we get a clever fellow who can do some spinning, and so Peter spins all this silk into beautiful yarns. Yeah. So this is all Peter's work.
So I don't know much about silk. So
Yep.
it's like a string that the caterpillar makes, isn't
Yes, it is. So the caterpillar finds a nice cozy place to sit, and then it starts spinning a cocoon around itself.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So the nasty part about this is that they collect the cocoons while the worm is still alive, and then they dump them into boiling hot water, and then they can find the end of the thread, and then they start reeling that, and the threads are about 1 kilometre and 300 metres long.
Wow.
So, yeah, yes. So they're very clever. They're very clever, these little things.
So one kilo